What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the SwigTalk podcast, everyone's favorite beauty YouTube channel. And today we're going to be discussing Game of Thrones, the finale. The spoiler alert, y'all. It ended.
Yeah, it was really weird when Walter White just showed up out of nowhere. I was like, interesting turn, but I like where it's going.
For real, SwigTalk. This is the podcast where MC Swigga, that's me, we interview a bunch of different internet personalities, and today we've got Justin from Cinephile. Well, how you doing, man?
What's up? I don't know if I should be looking at this camera or this camera, but I'm just gonna do both. What's up, everybody? Yeah, Cinephile Studios, doing a little interview and talking about not Game of Thrones because I tried watching the show in preparation for the finale, but I couldn't catch up. It's too long, and I felt a little better about myself when season 8 started going way downhill. I was like, okay, now I don't have to watch it. Okay, it's great. That means it sucks at the end. There's no reason to keep up with it. I can watch it in 20 years. That's great.
So, the first question is, what was life like for you before you started doing YouTube?
Life before YouTube was me in elementary school. Basically, I don't know what any elementary kid does. Watches movies. I used to go outside a lot. But, I don't know. Like, I've always kind of been doing YouTube since I'm part of that generation of growing up with the internet. 2009, I tried posting my first video, which was a Pez stop motion film, and that was pretty much just a rip-off of all the different videos people were doing with Legos. I'd see them do it with Legos. I was like, I'll do it with Pez dispensers because I like those. And from there, it just kind of grew and grew into different other things until we got here. And I'm still growing and doing different things. Trying to, anyway.
That goes to the second question of, what exactly was your first big review? Because that's what your channel is specifically dedicated to, is movie reviews. What would you say was like the first video that really launched you into Cinephile Studios, and what was really like your big inspiration for starting like your movie review series?
Well, big inspiration for sure was he who must not be named now.
Dog Walker? Dog Walker.
And his brother, that terrible, Bob, I don't know.
Rub Walker.
But I was heavily influenced by Nostalgia Critic, of course, which I was getting into that game right around the time he was ending. He actually had just ended his series. So I was like, hey, perfect opportunity for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, to get big in the exact same thing he did. What I didn't realize was in the next 5 years, everything with that film reviewing stuff would change, and the way people do them, film editorials and essays became way more popular. But the first video I did was the Cat in the Hat, because I owned it, and I always remembered it being bad and offensive, and the review's not that great.
It really isn't the worst film ever. It just happens to be so rude to the original work it's based upon.
Looking back on the movie now, especially with all the memes, I'm like, that actually maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's kind of a weird artistic venture of one guy who was like, this is what I think of the Cat in the Hat. And I don't know, I kind of changed my mind about that review, but it's like the most watched thing on my channel to this day.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it's kind of makes me sad that it's like, because everyone watches that, and I'm like, I don't do that anymore, but I don't take it down because I don't like taking videos down to begin with, but it gets views, which is nice too.
You continued doing reviews, and eventually you became part of Mr. Raincoat and Friends, or Mr. Coat and Friends, right?
Yeah, Mr. Raincoat. That could be his alter ego, like, villain version of the character.
Evelor, my evil twin, has arrived. What are you doing here?
Nick,
I'm here to stop the review, and we're going to do action battle for 5 minutes.
Well, I knew about Mr. Coat and Friends. I knew him back when it was just that fellow in the coat, and I had seen his videos going back to 2009 when I found his video he did on One Saturday Morning, and from there I saw a bunch of his other videos and then found the website, and that's where I learned about people like Morgan Ledger, Haimatude, Animat. I started to kind of hear about a lot of these folks, and they all reviewed stuff that interested me, especially Disney stuff. And all these years later, I started making more and more different review series and movie stuff. And I had always asked Stephen Ellison, who runs the site, I always would talk to him and be like, hey, can you watch this video? Give me any of your thoughts. And, just be annoying. Like, I was a fanboy of his. But, but he was really nice, and he'd actually always give a lot of compliments or criticism back at me. And he helped me a lot to evolve my style past the nostalgia critic stuff. So after that, a couple years went by. Eventually I started doing a different series. I know I matured myself a little bit too, not as much of a, hey, please watch this video kind of guy. I was more like, hey, still a fan, but he started watching my stuff though, and eventually just kind of brought up the notion of, hey, you want to join the site? I was like, yeah, that kind of fulfills a dream of mine when I was, 2009 me, 7th grade me, I guess. Yeah. So, and those, reviewer sites aren't even really big anymore. Being on a website doesn't, being on YouTube is the only thing you can do now.
YouTube nowadays is, let's just face it, everyone nowadays is talking about like YouTubers and certain drama that they're getting into. A lot of them went downhill. The big one obviously everyone brings up is channel #NotSoAwesome.
Still 3 members strong.
And one just stays around for the memes. By the way, Larry supposedly wants to be part of the podcast at some point. Larry, that would be really tight if you came on, yo.
I'm a big fan of Larry just because, I mean, I've never heard of a boss who's like, you know what, that guy is only working here, making fun of us, but let's keep him anyway.
Yeah, he's making fun of us, but he makes us some bank. I guess we should keep him.
No, because there was GeekVision.tv, which, if you go to their website, it's still saying under construction, so, they're coming back eventually. I hope they do, actually. Geek Vision had a lot of good players on it. Some jerk with a camera, especially. And they also had, like, Chaz Apocalypse. But, a lot of these started to kind of fall apart. That fellow in the coat has stayed strong, though. I mean, everybody on it still makes videos. But some of them, I'm like, I kind of wonder if they know they're on the site. Like, one of the big ones is Rebel Taxi, which, Pan Pizza.
Yeah, another person who's supposedly going to be on the podcast at some point. That'd be dope.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. He has gone on to have a huge fan base, but still to this day, Stefan shares his videos on his website, and I think that's some dedication right there. So I'm a big fan of the website, and it made me happy to be a part of it, because it makes you feel like you're part of a community.
You brought up your reviews, and then that kind of segues into one of your other big projects of now, your own podcast, Cinema Swamp. So where'd you get the idea for a podcast? Just thought, a lot of people have them, I want to do my own kind of thing?
Has gotten to that point. I mean, if you do not have a podcast, do you not exist? We've kind of hit that point now where everybody has them.
The Logan Pauls and the RiceGums, they're like, I'm starting. Hey everybody, generic YouTube bloggers here. We're starting up our own podcast now.
Well, the reason we started mine was because I met up with a friend of mine. His name's Hunter Goebel of Floodwood. So shout out Hunter. But we hadn't really hung out in years. We were friends in school and such, high school. And he was starting to hang out with me again when he moved back to where I live, Duluth area. So we started chatting up, and I didn't know he loved movies as much as I did. Eventually, we started talking about movies all the time. He brought up the idea of doing a podcast. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I've been trying to find an excuse to do a podcast anyway, and it's sort of grew from there. I would say that the podcast is way more his baby than it is mine. I edit it, I show up for it, and yeah, that's pretty much my extent of it. But he's the one who comes up with all the games, most of the time comes up with the topics, and he's really put a lot of energy into it, which I just given my schedule and how busy I often am, I'm glad I have someone who can really help out a lot there and kind of keep me pushing, because we've done it almost every week at this point, and that's one of the hardest things to do, I think, is to actually maintain it. It's easy to start, but maintaining it's hard. And now we got 2 regulars on it as well, Zach and Chloe, so shout out to them as well. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and I'm not really worried about it being big. We've always said, if this doesn't work, maybe we eventually will try something else, but it's just fun to hang out.
I definitely know that feeling of like, yeah, like, is this going to work out or not? And you know, the stuff that does it's great, and the ones it's just like where they don't go anywhere. It's like, this was fun. I mean, before I was doing the SwigTalk podcast, I was doing a bunch of other stuff. I was doing like reaction videos, and I was doing like short skit videos and like YouTuber parody videos, and it's eventually like it came down to that and video game reviews, aside from doing the MC Swigga parody songs. And yeah, I think SwigTalk so far is my favorite one, along with the game reviews, because it's just fun to interact with people, like, especially with people like you, man.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, like video game reviews. That's something I still haven't done really anything of, but it just seems so complicated because you gotta record the footage of you actually playing the game. You know, you're talking about hours there, and then you're gotta edit that with your own reactions. You gotta write it all, and I'm just like that. That's something I would love to get into, and a lot of people seem to love it, but it's just so much time. It seems so time consuming. Um, but reaction videos, I only want to talk about this because years ago, right after starting my first movie review series, I started doing a series where I would talk about and review movie trailers. And it sucked. It's actually the only videos I have taken offline because I think they're awful. They're terrible. I tried to make a character out of it and everything.
This actually segues into the next question, which is like videos you're most proud of, videos you hate the most, videos you wish you could do better, videos that you're like 100% satisfied with. But I gotta ask, were these like reaction videos, were they like a parody of all those generic reaction channels? Were they just like... Is it a parody of that?
You know what? Honestly, me just sitting there watching the trailer, saying nothing for the 2 minutes of the trailer, and then just ending it, that would be way funnier to me. But like, no, it was just I would watch the review. I would watch the trailer before making the video, and then I would write it into a small review. But it would be really obnoxious, and every one of them I would like overly hype up to the point of absurdity. The only reason it ticks me off now is because I didn't think of the idea of just watching the trailer and reacting as myself, because that became a big thing after the fact. And now it's like everybody watches those reaction videos, and I'm like, seriously? Like this, it seems so easy. And I can't believe that I didn't think of that at the time or try to jump on that bandwagon sooner, because I'm like, I could be pumping out a video like that a week and right there, like 2,000 views. I mean, or more, because I'm just referencing the one actual trailer reaction I ever did, which was the Force Awakens trailer. After that, I pretty much swore off ever doing it again, because I'm like, no, they're too easy. But now I'm having, I'm kind of having a recollection of it, and I'm like, I should have been doing it way earlier. I should have just started doing it. That's why I'm a hater now, because I didn't think of it earlier.
I was so sick of that just generic easy content, because the thing about those reaction videos, they make so many fucking views. We titled the series like Assholes React. It's supposed to be like a parody of like all the Fine Bros, like kids react, elders react. It wasn't even supposed to be like a direct parody of Fine Bros. It was just like, okay, I want a react series, what do we call it? And it was the $$ holes react, and we only did a couple of them, and I think like it was probably the longest lasting Swigga series we did before SwigTalk and the game reviews.
It's weird that even some of the companies have really embraced trailer reactions, especially Disney. Star Wars has... I remember there was one trailer they released for The Force Awakens where they were using footage of people reacting to the trailer. And I was like, they're smart, because they're like, this is extra marketing for us that we get for free. So let's not go and flag all those videos and tick them all off. Let's let them react to it, even if they hate the trailer, which most of the time they don't, because Disney pumps out some pretty good trailers. They're giving us free promotion. And I'm like, it's such a weird business model, because then you got some channels that are completely devoted to it. That's it. That is their whole source of income, is reacting.
It's like what iDub said when he did his content cop on Jinx. It's like he'll react to anything and everything to make views.
He stole it from the Vine compilations, Try Not to Laugh Vine compilations, Your Grammar Sucks, Markiplier Cries on Camera.
But anyway, going back to the original question, uh, of videos you're most proud of. Videos, I think. Well, we pretty much answered which ones you hate the most was those those trailer videos. What videos would you say were your personal favorites? Like the ones you were just so like happy with the final product.
Recent years, I've just been putting so much more effort into the longer videos that there's not really any of them that I'm really disappointed in. The main series that I've been working on for a long time, but it goes by so slowly because I put a lot of time into the writing. And then, I'm doing a series called Home Media Theater, where the original intent of it was, hey, I'll review one single movie from an entire director's filmography or from a specific brand. So like, hey, every single Disney movie or every single Pixar movie. Well, in this case, I did every single Marvel movie going back to 1986 with Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck tries so hard to be funny that it makes it worse.
I wanted to review every single Marvel movie, not just cinematic universe. But it's gone so slow. It's been started in 2016, and now it's 2019, so like I'm only up to the 2003 Hulk. So I think I've done like 10 episodes. Every one of those I really enjoy because I put a lot of time into them. I put a lot of time into the writing, and so I really enjoy those ones. And the other series that I really enjoyed is the What Happened To series, which I talk about stuff like what happened to One Saturday Morning.
What I want to specifically talk about today was a great programming block from the late 90s called One Saturday Morning.
Honestly, that might be my favorite video of all of them just because it's a topic that I haven't really seen discussed much on YouTube ever, except for Mr. Coates' video. That was it. It had never really been talked about on YouTube before anywhere else. It kind of wasn't a forgotten thing. So I wanted to talk about that. So I'm really proud of that. But, we also did What Happened to Disney MGM Studios, What Happened to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and What Happened to the most recent one, Nickelodeon Movies. So I really like those ones too because it just gives me a chance to look at the history of some topic I really enjoy. And there's nothing really specific about it. I can just talk about whatever. And people seem to really like them.
This kind of goes into like kind of a wrap up, I guess, where the people can shout out any kind of social medias they want, and also let the viewers know any kind of future projects you got coming up, any videos you got coming up soon, man.
Twitter, Justin_Wilton. I'm on Facebook, Cinephile Studios. Instagram, Cinephile Studios, which I post on there a lot. Actually, I really enjoy the Instagram. And other projects I got working on, more Cinema Swamp. We're gonna be doing more home media theater eventually. I just watched the Hulk, so we're gonna be working on that. And then What Happened To, I want to do one on PBS Kids Go because that's another topic I haven't seen talked about a lot. And I'm trying to think, there's just I have a notepad where I just write down ideas because I come up with a different one like every day. And like none of them I'm ever gonna get to because you don't have time. But I want to do more of the discussion, which is a podcast about talking about Disney movies, basically anything Disney related. And I want to bring back Conquering 200 Movies because this was a thing where I reviewed a movie from a 200 movie box set I bought from Walmart. It had 200 movies in it. And I was like, I'm never going to watch every single one of these movies. It's not going to happen. But if I make a video series where I have an excuse to watch every one of them, then I'll get through them and I'll be proud to be like, hey, I'm probably one of the only people on the planet who's ever watched every movie in this piece of garbage box set. So that's what I'm working on right now, but it's been kind of on halt for a while after getting a new job, but I want to bring it back. So look for that too. Oh, and real quick, Ryan Walterson, I gotta shout him out because he's like the super fan, and he's the one who actually set this whole thing up. He was like, hey, you should be on SwigTalk, and that's why I watched some of your stuff, and I was like, oh, I really enjoy the reviews, and I watched. I think I watched all the interviews that you did, so I'm like, yeah, I liked it.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah. Just like Justin said, shout out Ryan. Ryan's been hooking up a bunch of interviews and boy, we appreciate you for that. Again, it's going to take a while to get to everybody because these podcasts, they usually come out like every other month. Shout out to Ryan. And thank you so much, Justin, for coming on to the podcast, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was fun. Yeah. And eventually, we're trying to get more people on the Cinema Swamp. So, hey, maybe sometime we'll try to get you on because it would be awesome. No, we're trying to get like other people, especially online, onto it. But it's just such a slow-moving process, and it's only a matter of when we all have time. But it would definitely be cool, so I will think of it.
Absolutely, man. So thank you for watching this episode of SwigTalk. Yeah, once again, shout out to Justin. Go follow him. Check his stuff out. He's real cool. Look forward to some upcoming MC Swigga stuff. I am working on a parody of a Panic at the Disco song coming up soon. I'm going to be doing another Swigga game review next month. It's going to be on Three Stooges on NES. And we're also going to be doing Too Many Games like we always do, so you can see all MC Swigga and crew at Too Many Games this Saturday when Too Many Games is going on. Look forward to all that. MC Swigga out, y'all. Peace.
So, yeah.